ASMR. Hey everybody, this is going to be a bubblegum blowing bubble video and a random facts about me video. Random fact number one, and the reason I'm talking about this is because it came up during my friend Chu's live video today. His topic was comedy movies that we've seen, and we kept all getting a little off topic, and then I got a little more off topic by talking about throw up scenes in movies and how I have to fast forward them or skip over them. If I've seen a movie, I can tell you if there's a throw up scene in it. If I haven't seen a movie, I can pretty much predict. There's a train going by. I can pretty much predict when a throw up scene's gonna happen. If there's kids in a car, if people are on a road trip, if they're out drinking, if there's teenagers in it. It's pretty much a given. So random fact number one is that I'm mildly emetophobic. Mildly emetophobic. I don't have the exact definition of emetophobia in front of me, but the reason why I say mildly is because normally someone that's emetophobic, the reason that they freak out when someone throws up is because they're afraid that they are going to catch the germs and get really sick and that's my cat, and maybe die. They're very germophobic. So for a lot of them, it's not so much the sight and the smell of someone else throwing up. It's more that they're afraid that they are going to get sick and die or be in pain from throwing up. Whereas me, I can deal with myself getting sick as long as it's not in public or something. But ever since I was a kid, if I was around somebody in a car or on an airplane or in a classroom that was threatening to throw up, I would literally have a panic attack. I would get the cold sweats. I would start to cry. The sound, the smell, the sight, I can't explain it. It gives me a panic attack. My sister went through a phase when she was younger where she got car sick a lot and she had to bring a bag around with her in case she got sick. And my parents would make me go with them when they went somewhere, and I would not want to go because I knew I couldn't handle it if my sister got car sick, but they'd make me go anyway because they were like, you're not going to stay home in the house all the time. And I would just like literally freak out. I'd get mad. I'd cry. I'd shake if my sister got sick in her little bag. And, you know, no one understood this. Like, it's like an anxiety thing. I can't explain it. Nobody understood this. And it was very much a getting mad at me thing, because it's like, why are you being so mean to your sister? Why aren't you compassionate? She's getting sick. I can't explain it. So I get skeeved out. By throw up scenes in movies. Even though it's fake, just the sound, the thought of it, like The Sandlot, the scene where they chew the tobacco and then get on the ride and they all throw up on each other in a circle. Problem Child 2, where Junior makes the ride go like 3 times as fast as it's supposed to, and all the kids on the ride throw up, and then everyone in the crowd throws up on each other watching them throw up. Similar to that. Would be Stand By Me. When he's telling the story about the pie eating contest and the kid getting sick, and then the people watching it get sick too. Like, there's a lot of movies like that. Anyway, but Jews brought up an interesting thing. Don't worry, the other facts aren't going to be as long as this one. I just felt the need to explain it because it's kind of weird. Jews brought up the fact that even though I appear or describe myself as like petrified and panicky at the thought, the sights, and the sound of people throwing up, whether it's fake or not, I seem to almost seek it out in a sense. And like, that's a really good point, because I can't explain this. But I don't know if it's like a form of torture or what, but I have actually found myself reading people's stories in emetophobia forums about their worst experiences with people being sick around them. And you think, why are you subjecting yourself to that? If this is such an issue for you, I can't explain it. It's really weird. And it's definitely a real issue, because like, I have been irrationally mad at my husband when he's got the remote. And I remind him or warn him that there is a throw up scene coming up in what we're watching. And if he doesn't change the channel quick enough or fast forward fast enough, and I see or hear any of it, like, I have to leave the room and like steam and be angry for a few minutes, and then I get over it. It's really weird. let's move on to the next fact. I am going to be 39 in September. And speaking of my husband, this coming October, we have been married for 16 years. I grew up in Maine. I do not care for a lot of seafood, despite the fact that I grew up in Maine. I do not like lobster. I do not like the smell of lobster. I used to hate it when my parents would get lobster and there would be leftovers in the fridge. Everything would smell like lobster and seafood and just funny enough, also being from Maine, I get seasick really bad. Like, I cannot even handle standing on the dock for very long. Between the motion of the ocean, the dock sometimes moving a bit, and just the smell of seafood, the ocean, and fuel. Just, it's bad. I've been on a whale watch, and I've been on a very short cruise, like a 24-hour cruise on the whale watch. I was miserable, nauseous the whole time, and I was sitting there dying, resting my head in my hand, trying to sleep. And my mom would walk up to me like, your sister's hungry, could you take her over to the the little kitchen thing and get her a brownie or a hot dog or something? And I just looked at her like, are you kidding me? And then she left me alone. On the cruise, I was stupid. I thought it would be a little bit better because the ship was a lot bigger than the whale watching boat, but it wasn't like big like a Carnival cruise ship or anything like that. So I didn't take Dramamine. About an hour into walking around the ship, I started to feel really nauseous. We made it to our cabin. I spent hours laying in bed trying to sleep. I finally took some Dramamine, and literally 15 minutes later, I threw it up. So that didn't help. So literally, if I was on a cruise feeling seasick near someone else who was feeling seasick, since I have a mild case of emetophobia, it would be really bad. So I don't get on boats anymore. I have 2 cats. They're both girls. One's name is Boba. One's name is Betty. Boba is named after Boba Fett in Star Wars. And I don't know why Betty is Betty. I have one child. He's 15 and is about to be a sophomore. I consider myself to be agnostic. I'm really a skeptic about everything, but I'm open to everything also. I love horror movies and ghost stories and the paranormal, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, UFOs. Never had any experiences myself. Sometimes I think it's because if I did, I would like die of fright or something, and that's like the one thing that I've lucked out with in my life is that I've not died of fright yet. I don't know. My favorite type of horror movies, and I've said this before, are the type that seem kind of slow moving, because there's not a lot of like big jump scare stuff going on. It's more subtle, creepy stuff like Poltergeist, what's it called? Come on. Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch. The Amityville Horror. The Conjuring. Like stuff where, like, I mean, yes, I'll admit that when the music gets loud, and there's really loud music when someone jumps out of a closet, or like they're staring at someone down the hall, all demonic, and then like 2 seconds later it's like they speed ran and they're in your face. Like, that jump scare stuff scares me, but it's because it startled me, not because like I was legit scared. What scares me is creepy stuff like in a TV movie called Haunted, where a family moves in to a duplex, and there's the family in one and the in-laws on the husband's side in the other. And one day the mother's home alone in her side of the duplex doing laundry. She hears her mother-in-law's voice from upstairs calling her name. Janet. Janet. So she goes next door. There's no one home, and no one was home. And it turns out that it was like a demon or something projecting her mother-in-law's voice to her. It was creepy. That creeps me out. And there's a new girl that I watch on YouTube, I'll put her right here, that has kind of a similar story to something like that. And I listened to it at night and I was totally freaked out. I had to sleep with a light on in the bathroom. I've lived in Maine, Hawaii, California, Guam, and Texas. My son was born in Hawaii, and he spent preschool, like pre-K, through the first 2 months of second grade in Guam. Let's see. I probably should have written these down. I love classic TV shows like I Love Lucy, Welcome Back, Kotter, What's Happening, Good Times, Different Strokes, The Facts of Life, 227, Amen. Mork and Mindy. That show, Alice, where the woman worked at a diner. One of my favorite 80s bands was Huey Lewis and the News. I thought it was really interesting when Hip to Be Square kind of became popular again briefly, when Huey's music was used in the Christian Bale movie American Psycho. Growing up, like from probably like age 10 to probably around like high school age, the end of high school, I had a crush on the following people. Kiefer Sutherland, you know, like in Flatliners and Young Guns too. This is embarrassing, but even when he was the voice of the Nutcracker Prince, which was a cartoon. Estevez, the Young Guns version, Young Guns 2, Men at Work, Breakfast Club. But once Mighty Ducks hit, never mind. Christian Slater, Heathers, Legend of Billie Jean. I love the movie The Legend of Billie Jean. Pump Up the Volume. The Wizard. Young Guns 2. Especially in that one with Marissa Tomei, Untamed Heart. That was really good. Robert Downey Jr., Chaplin, Chances Are, I know there were more. I should have written them down. I can't think right now. I kind of had, it might seem silly, but I kind of had a crush on Lou Diamond Phillips when he was in La Bamba and in Young Guns 2. I did think it was interesting that Lou played Ritchie Valens, though, because Ritchie Valens was actually a really husky teenager. Like, he was pretty chubby. And something that really, this is a little off topic. Sorry, I do that. What's really interesting is that I knew that they used the band Los Lobos or something like that in the movie to cover Ritchie's songs, and that Lou was just lip syncing to that. I had no idea that they didn't use any of Ritchie's actual voice at all in the movie. And I downloaded on iTunes his actual versions of the songs, because even on YouTube it can be hard to find his actual version of La Bamba. Because oftentimes on YouTube, when it's labeled as Ritchie singing, it's actually Los Lobos or whoever it was. So that's interesting. Okay, anyway. Let's see. I had a big thing for Elijah Wood. A little bit still do. I like to, remember I'm close to his age, so I saw him in The Good Son and Huck Finn and the movie North. And then all of a sudden, I think it was when they re-released Oliver and Company into theaters in the mid-90s. There was a preview for the movie Flipper, and all of a sudden there he was on the screen, having gone through puberty and stuff, and he was like a full-fledged teenager, and I was like, this is so dorky. thinking that Jonathan Brandis, rest in peace, was pretty cute too. I had a big crush on Corey Feldman back in the day. Like a big one. I really, really loved the movie Dream a Little Dream. I even kind of liked Dream a Little Dream 2. And I really, really liked his horribly cringy dancing scenes in both movies. The second one was a little bit more cringy than the first. Oh yeah. I always had a crush on Noah Hathaway as Atreyu in the Neverending Story. I'm sure there's more, but if I try and sit here and think about it, we'll be here all day. Oh my god, we've already been here all day. Okay, I have 3 tattoos. One is, you see it? I got that in Holland. The guy didn't speak English. I pointed to it, and he's like, gave me a look like, are you sure? And I said, yes, I understand what this means. And I thought it was funny. And I'm still oddly okay with it now. I don't see many other people doing something like that because it's silly and stupid, but it says, ouch, pain. And I know it really says that because I have been in Chinese restaurants and I have been walking around the Mall of Micronesia and had people come up to me and point at my tattoo and say what it means and then laugh. This is a My Little Pony, but it is Amy Pond from Doctor Who as a pony, and it says The Girl Who Waited. This is a Dalek from Doctor who is floating in the air with a red balloon, kind of either like Winnie the Pooh or It or something. I had my nose pierced once, and the people did not do it right. It got infected really bad. And, it hurt really bad when they pierced it too with like a huge needle. And I ended up having to take the nose ring out, and for like a year, I had a bump on the inside of my nose that hurt really bad. stupidly enough, like, I've considered having it re-pierced by a really good, clean, reviewed place, but probably not. I've also had my ears pierced, like, a bunch of times, and I can never keep them. They always get infected. Oddly, it's usually like this one. I need to dye my hair again. I get gray hair, oddly enough, just mostly around my ear. I need to have my eyebrows waxed. Let's see. I think I better end this one now because it's like pretty close to 40 minutes and it's gonna be a bitch to edit, so. Alright guys,